They say that every achievement starts with a decision to try, that every great dream begins with a dreamer. It often only takes one idea. Today, I'd like to talk to you about the importance of ideas and how your dreams can influence the world. Allow me to let you in on a little secret. There is great power in purpose, in putting what you care about at the center and at the core of your life, so that it ends up defining your path, your career, defining your life story, and becoming something bigger, something that matters. Sometimes the idea can develop around your passions, but nevertheless, it often starts with one idea. The story goes something like this. A boy or a girl comes up with an idea, a new solution, a new project, and works on it for many months. This idea becomes a passion, a complete obsession, and the idea grows and develops. Fast forward a few years, and this idea becomes a viable new business, fueled by passion and hard work. This idea has the potential to change the world. And there are countless examples of this out there. Marie Curie and radioactivity, for example, Nelson Mandela and the fight against apartheid, Elon Musk and SpaceX, for example, or Steve Jobs and Apple, Greta Thunberg and the global climate strikes. That's how it starts. Success doesn't just sneak up on us. It starts with an idea, a dream, combined with a clear action plan. And it's not so much about reinventing the wheel or something like that, but it's really about finding your own unique way of impacting the world. And I firmly believe that every single one of us here has the potential to come up with inspiring new ideas and solutions that are good for humanity and good for the planet, ways in which we can change the world for the better. But how do you find that idea? Does it just come out of thin air? Well, for some people it does. They have this aha moment and they know exactly what they're meant to do with their lives. But for other people like me, sometimes it takes years to figure out what the real mission is. And I have learned that one of the best ways to get there is to focus relentlessly on what you love, on what you enjoy, on what you're good at. And to start, it doesn't have to be more complicated than that. The first time I came to Singapore, I was 15 years old, and it was to play competitive football at one of the local international schools. I was living in Manila in the Philippines at the time, and like many of you here today, I was a high school student full of hopes and dreams for the future. And I never forgot the impression that Singapore had on me, and I vowed I would find a way to come back and live and work here one day. Now, fast forward a few years after high school, I went on to university in Tokyo, in Japan. And after some time, thanks to the fact that I spoke Japanese with some fluency by then, I ended up getting a great job at Nike in international marketing at their world headquarters in the United States. That was a dream come true for me. My dream had always been to work in something related to sports. That was my passion. And growing up, sports was always a huge part of my life. I was very athletic and competitive as a child. I had this great sense of adventure. And sports gave me a lot of confidence in my youth and as a young woman, and I believe deeply in the power of sports to bring people together and to help us find physical, mental, and emotional balance. So from then on, when I went through life, when it came to picking jobs, I followed my heart. Thus, it is no coincidence that I ended up working for Nike on and off about 11 years in 4 continents and many cities. I moved to Singapore about 14 years ago, and I continued to work for Nike. I ran their marketing department here for a few years. And after some time, I decided to leave the organization because I wanted to become an entrepreneur. And about that time, I met an incredible woman who was about to climb Everest. And actually, she is a parent at Tanglin Trust. Her name is Valérie Bofi. On the summit of Everest, she unfolded a banner that said, "Bearing the flag for women everywhere." And this was in support of a charity called Women for Women International that champions women survivors of war. And that really hit me in the gut. To see someone doing something so brave in support of other women in need, women who had gone through so much trauma in countries that are ripped apart by the horrors of war, that really impacted me. And it also made me realize, that I had been so lucky in my life thus far. I grew up in a loving home. I had a chance at a good education. I had so many opportunities in my life and in my career. At the time, I was married, happily married for a second time, and I had just given birth to my 4th child. I had so many blessings. And I realized that I had this overpowering sense and feeling that I needed to use my skills and experience to give back, to do something more. So soon enough, Valérie and I and another partner, Karine Mauge, decided to set up a nonprofit called Women on a Mission. And this was to take all female teams on challenging expeditions to off-the-beaten-track locations around the world as a way to support and empower women who had been abused. And by that I mean women survivors of war, women survivors of domestic abuse, human trafficking, and other forms of violence and abuse. Now, violence against women and girls is one of the most widespread, persistent, and devastating human rights violation in our world today. And Women on a Mission's core objective is to support and empower these women through our advocacy work and our fundraising. Now, it's been over 7 years, and Women on a Mission is still going strong. It's been an incredible journey. And we're actually currently planning our 10th expedition to visit a tribe in Western Sumatra in Indonesia. And we hope to continue to build on the work that we've done so far to support some of the world's most marginalized women. Now, in parallel with all this, after a few years, I was feeling incredibly frustrated and alarmed, quite frankly, at what I was seeing around me in nature, what I was reading in the news, and I'm sure many of you can relate to this. I was horrified to see the destruction of our planet's ecosystems, the burning of our forests, the pollution of our oceans, and seeing the incredible havoc that climate change was causing on impoverished populations. As you well know, climate change is the biggest crisis facing humanity today, and I was feeling powerless. What could I do to make a difference? And so I decided to inform myself to better understand this crisis that was gripping our planet. And the more research I did, the more I realized that even though climate change is a global phenomenon, the effects are really felt locally, and poor people suffer the most. In all the chaos surrounding the news about climate change, gender often remains the untold story behind it all. Yet in many parts of the world, women are amongst the most vulnerable to climate change and environmental degradation. They are hit the hardest, partly because they make up the larger share of the agricultural workforce and have access to fewer income-earning jobs. So I decided to set up a second NGO on a similar model to Women on a Mission, also organizing all-female treks and expeditions as a way to support different charities, but with more of an environmental focus, and specifically to support underprivileged women affected by climate change. And I soon realized that even though women are amongst the most vulnerable to climate change, they are actually a huge part of the solution. And in fact, one of the best ways to mitigate climate change is to support, empower, educate women, and help them build livelihoods that are eco-friendly and compatible and in harmony with nature. And this is exactly what Her Planet Earth has been focused on these last few years. We've tried to raise funds and develop projects through our charity partners in different parts of the world. And more specifically, we have funded projects like elephant sanctuaries or anti-poaching mobile units in Africa. In my home country of the Philippines, we've worked with several NGOs that encourage the collection and recycling of plastic to be made into reusable items for sale. We've also supported NGOs in Palawan, the islands of Palawan, that encourage women and girls to learn how to grow organic fruit and vegetables in eco-farms as a solution to overfishing. And we're also looking at a new project involving the restoration of coral reefs, involving a team of divers from Singapore, female divers, with women from the islands, and helping to rebuild reefs that have been destroyed by dynamite fishing. And one of our long-term partners has also been the UN Women, and we funded projects in several countries like Bangladesh, Nepal, and Vietnam, specifically focused on agricultural projects that help women grow crops that are better suited for the soil in their area. Now, all these are little steps, but little steps nevertheless in the right direction with their own positive ripple effects. So both Women on a Mission and Her Planet Earth have a strong female empowerment focus at their very core, and both use sports and adventure as a way to have an impact. And thanks to my work with these two NGOs, I've also had the privilege of taking close to 150 women now on challenging, often pioneering expeditions that really push them outside of their comfort zone. We've been to some incredible places. We've been to the Arctic Circle, where we've migrated with Nenet reindeer herders of Siberia in -36 degrees Celsius. We've climbed mountains that have never been climbed before in the coldest, most remote and windiest continent on Earth, Antarctica. We've crossed the largest caves in the world in Vietnam. We've sailed in the remote islands in the Philippines. We've crossed the hottest desert in the world in Ethiopia's Danakil Depression. And we've climbed many, many, many mountains in the Himalayas, in Mongolia, in Iceland, and more recently in Kenya, all in an effort to raise awareness and funds for vulnerable women. In addition to the 16 expeditions that we've successfully run to date, we have organized major fundraising events with thousands of guests combined. We've been able to work with some incredible people, adventurers, climate change policy experts, musicians, artists, astronauts, as a way to rally community to take action. We've also organized and set up a Big Sister program here in Singapore to mentor young girls who have been abused. And as of today, I'm very proud to say that my team and I have been able to raise a combined amount of close to 1.5 million Singapore dollars for charities and organizations that protect our environment and that advance the position of women around the world. And as a result, we have directly impacted hundreds of women and girls and indirectly impacted thousands more. The idea turned passion, turned obsession has become our unique way of changing the world one woman at a time. Proving once again, as Greta Thunberg says so well, that you are never too small to make a difference. And my team and I take much hope and inspiration from these words as we continue to build on the work that we've done so far. Indeed, there is great power in purpose, in putting what you care about at the center and at the core of your life so that it ends up defining your path, your career, defining your life story, and becoming something bigger, something that matters. This has become what I like to call my profession of the heart, or my ikigai. This is a term I picked up during my time in Japan. Ikigai means your raison d'être, your reason for being, why you get up in the morning. It's what makes you feel in harmony with yourself. It's what allows you to grow and learn and be successful. As a result of this experience, I've learned a tremendous amount about the issues facing women around the world, about the challenges caused by climate change. I've learned a lot about leading teams under pressure on tough expeditions to some of the most inhospitable places in the world. And one of the greatest lessons I've learned from this experience is that the courage it takes to follow your dreams is actually very little compared to the strength it takes to wake up every single day stuck in a life that makes you neither happy or sad. Think about this. You have an idea, you have a dream, you have obstacles in front of you. If you persevere, have faith, take action, you will find a way. There are no limits to what you can accomplish except the limits that you place on yourself. Working on a project day in and day out amounts to something. It eventually becomes something bigger, something that matters. In closing, what I would like to leave you with today is that our accomplishments grow according to the size of our dreams. And there's no better time than now to set a new goal or to dream a new dream. And so if there's something that you want to try out, go after it with all your heart. Don't be afraid to take chances with courage and make them happen with grit and determination. There will be doubters. There will be people who will tell you that it won't work, that you will fail, that you are naive to follow your dreams. I say, don't listen to them. You won't believe the number of doors that will open for you when people see the passion and determination in your eyes. If you are willing to work incredibly hard, and believe me, that is what it would take, there are truly no limits to what you can accomplish in your life. As future young leaders of our world, you are so fortunate to be getting the chance that you are getting here today, and because of this, you should be driven by a great sense of responsibility and the desire to uplift others around you. Because to drive change, it needs to be a collective effort. So today, I would like to encourage you to think of ideas and solutions that can make a difference to humanity and to the planet, because all it takes is one idea to change the world. Thank you.